YouTube, it's Joanna Delilah, continuing my history of makeup series. This is the 1950s. Well, this is yet to be done. So the difference between the 50s and the 40s, so there was a huge, obviously, kind of change in the outlook in the eras anyway, because things started to become a bit more optimistic again in the 50s, and the look became a lot more fun, colourful, and more makeup products became available throughout the 50s, and so there was a lot more choice. If you look at, when you're doing your research, look at Marilyn Monroe. She was a 50s icon. Her makeup is obviously different to this, but this with the colour on the lid was a really, really popular trend. Women would wear like a green or a blue like I've got, or a like a purpley shade. But also equally they did do the Marilyn look. The Marilyn look was kind of it was Marilyn's look as such, but it did become quite a popular trend as well. And that was fairly similar to the 40s in some ways, really, because it was very neutral on the eye, a bit like what I've got here, really, with an extended wing liner. Have a look at Lisa Eldridge. She's the absolute oracle when it comes to vintage makeup. She's got an amazing video on Marilyn Monroe's makeup, which includes like the steps that actually Marilyn's makeup artist used to use. So that's a really good one to look at for her. But this one that I'm doing now is kind of the look that was popular in the main throughout the 1950s. So it's very simple. I've just put a little bit of eye base on, and I'm going to go over with one colour. I'm using a matte, but there were more choice of textures in the 50s, so they would have had they may well have had like a shimmery shade on the lid. I'm using a matte one. Just gonna tap that on. So it's just simply one colour all over the eyelid and halfway down your cheek, if you can see that little bit of fallout there. The eyeliner and mascara I've still got on only because I've just done the 40s look, so you wouldn't normally have that on. I'm just going to go over it now. I really do like the 50s look. I think it's nice and fresh, and it is quite fun, and it's just simple. It's just a colour on the lid, end of. And then we're going to do the technical bit, which is the winged liner. Oh, I've got a brush here sticking to me somewhere. The eyebrows in the 50s are similar to in the 40s, but they did get a bit thicker. The arch was a bit more defined there, whereas in the 50s they were still quite neat and arched, but a little bit thinner. So I've just thickened my brows up and just emphasised that corner on the arch a little bit more, and tailed off to a nice sharp point at the edge. But none of this fade in at the middle like we do now. There'd be nothing like that. Right, so eyeliner. I'm going to use my mix-in liquid from Meron with a black face paint, but you could use a liquid liner. You could use just black face paint with water. That's fine to do as a liquid liner. But the only thing is I wouldn't do that for a client, because if it's on water, if it was mixed with water, it might smudge throughout the day, and if it got wet or they got rained on or anything. So the mix-in liquid will hold it in place. So you're going to do a wing, and this is a little bit challenging on me at my age. You may find it easier if you're younger. The 1950s shape, it's kind of up and out. If you look at the way your bottom waterline is of your eye, if that were to continue up there, that gives you an angle, and around about anywhere up and down that line is where your flick would go. So it kind of follows that line there. And the flick in the 50s was quite prominent, but I would still say delicate. It wasn't really heavy, so it doesn't go too much over the lid. It's more like a little like that. So I'm just going to put a dot in where I'm going to put my where I want my flick to end up. So it's going to go about there. And then I'm just going to sketch that with my eye quite relaxed so that it kind of crosses over the crease of the lid. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing, I'm close enough. And then if I go like that, you can see it's quite a broken line. But you need to kind of sketch it out first of all, just to make sure you're going to get the desired result in the end. Just getting a bit more liner on the brush. Oh dear, I'm getting a bit of a mess. So then, still with my eye quite relaxed, I'm going to just fill that in. And then what you want to do, if you've got like a slightly hooded eye like me, you need to just neaten that up when you're at like tauten the skin. Tauten the skin? Hold the skin, tighten, you know, stretch it out. Just fill in any gaps. And then again, just check that it works with your eye relaxed and open. You might want to add a false lash. They would have possibly worn a false lash in the 50s, not a huge one, but like a kind of a half set. Would have been quite popular then. When we get into the 60s, that's when we use the heavy lashes, so it would have been fairly delicate. And that's it. The lips in the 50s, pretty much the same as in the 40s. So slightly fuller upper lip so that it kind of balances with the lower lip, which was the Hunter's Bow style. That carried on through the 50s. Bright red was still popular throughout the 50s, but in the 50s, I've just got this on because it's what I had on when I did the 40s. But yeah, more choice was available in the 50s. So they would have had bright pink, bright orange, bright coral, or bright red. There was a lot more choice of shades of everything really in the 50s. So it's more of a kind of fun era makeup wise. I actually might keep this on. I quite like this one. So thank you for watching. I think I'm going to struggle to get away with the 60s one. I don't know, because it's a very heavy makeup look, but we'll give it a try. I can still show you how to do it anyway. And take care. Thank you for watching, and I will be back soon.